Hi, Brittany.
Hey Tiger, how are you?
I'm doing awesome. Yourself?
Yeah, hanging in there.
So we'll make it through. We'll get there. The
That's
most,
right. What was that?
the most important is health and safety. And
Mm, That's for sure. That's for sure.
yeah, yeah. All right. So I'm gonna go and make sure that we are live. We've got a
Okay.
good number of people today. Okay. So
Awesome.
we are starting. Hello, hello, hello. Wonderful people. We have a lot of people. Brittany, hello. Welcome to our Zen live party.
Yes, thank you for having me. This is
Of course.
awesome.
Of course, it's going to be a lot of fun. So for everybody who's joining in, please go and chat. Just let me know, again, just a sound check, video check that you guys can see us. And then I'm going to start sharing a PowerPoint presentation. It's not a really PowerPoint. It's just a whole bunch of pictures that Brittany and I will be looking at together, breaking into parts and talking about from organizational and clinical standpoint, the feedback that we have about inventory and how to get organized. So please jump into chat. Ooh, we have a lot of people today. This is great. Hi, Nancy. Thanks for joining. Yep. So, guys, chat below. Please go in, say hi. Most importantly, say if you can hear us and if you can see us. This is what I'm worried about the most. Brittany, how you been?
Oh, I'm all right, hanging in there. Things are good. It's warm. It's been warm here in Minnesota, so that's been great. Been able to get out a little bit.
Yeah,
So,
that's really cool. Hi,
yes.
Vanessa. Oh, Vanessa is here. Then we can start if Vanessa is here.
The party arrived, huh?
Yeah. Oh, she's awesome. Everybody's awesome. Courtney's typing. Can't wait to see what she has to say. Oh, we're going to have a blast today.
Great.
Yeah, we have such amazing people. So, what we did, hi, Courtney. That's awesome. All is good is important. So, since we probably the first one we had on the 20th, remember Mary from the event that we did?
Yeah.
So, Mary
Yeah.
Joanne,
Yep.
so she came in and she just delivered on the first webinar we did, live event. We had like, I don't know, remember how many people. It was a lot, but she was so awesome. And since then we've been doing live events pretty much every day. So that's been
Oh,
our
that's
thing.
amazing. Yeah, this has been great, I'm sure.
Yeah, yeah, trying to provide some video content for people. So this is going to be a live discussion. So for everybody who's tuning in, I'm switching to content so that you all can see the page. So I don't know how it works, but can you guys see the dental inventory and ordering? Can somebody just say yes, no? If I need to make it bigger or smaller? Yep. Thank you, Vanessa. Thank you, Monica. Thank you, Heather. All right. So jump in the chat. At any point, just type your questions. I'm going to leave the chat open so for everybody. And I'm super excited that Brittany joined too, because as you all know, we're super excited about inventory. Like that's one thing that we love doing. We love going to offices. That's one part that I miss the most right now with the lockdown. I mean, or just the quarantine is that you're just sitting at home. I want to be in the offices right now,
Oh,
just visiting and doing stuff. Right, Brittany? Like it's
oh,
so
I'm
difficult.
absolutely with you. Oh, I know. This is really, really hard for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I hope to show some pictures of like how people keep their supplies and inventory. I hope you guys will have a little bit of laugh on that. So we're going to go through this today. If you happen to have any pictures, so for anybody, if you have pictures or if you have floor plans that you want us to break down at the end, I'll try to get through this pretty quickly with Brittany's help. And then there's in the chat, there's that little thing there that you can attach something file. You have a picture of my supplies. Jimmy, I don't know. Do I? Send it to me. Maybe I do, unless you emailed it to me. So let me check. Because I usually turn off my email during this thing. Get interrupted. So let me check. Nope. No, I don't have anything. So if you guys need me to look at anything you got, please attach it. Maybe if you text it, I won't be able to see it. So just attach it here. I'll be able to. Oh, of course. You were at my office. Of course. Great Lakes. Yeah, I remember. So thank you, Jimmy. All right, cool. Let's get started. So inventory is an exciting subject. And as you all know, we love it. We love talking about it. We love helping offices get organized. Brittany, why do you love inventory?
Oh, why do I love inventory? That's a great question, Tiger. You know, I want to say I probably love the inventory control better, just because I like to keep things organized, nice and neat, and, you know, with help of the products that we have, obviously, and the offerings that you have, I think they mesh really well, and keeping everything under control is more my idea of inventory versus just inventory in general. I think I like to be organized and neat and colorful, of course, with the Zirc products and whatnot. So that's more of it. Yeah.
Yeah,
sure.
We should introduce Zirc too. I didn't do a good job introducing you. So you're a dental assistant. You've been with Zirc for a while now. Just tell us a little bit, if you don't mind, so that our listeners and everybody who's watching have a little bit of perspective.
Yeah, so Zirc is a niche company. Obviously, we specialize in organization. That is kind of our bread and butter, but we also have a line of isolation and evacuation products with our Mr. Thirsty and our Instadams and things like that. But, you know, we really like to do the organization aspect. So we offer a lot of different programs that we can offer to customers to see products that we have, since we don't have outside reps. So I am a rep for Zirc. I'm a product and efficiency consultant for Zirc, but I don't go out into the field and show products like a dealer rep would. So we have a lot of different, you know, programs that we can offer to people to get the products in their hands. Mm-hmm. So our different products obviously range from instrument cassettes to the tray and the locking covers, our tubs to organizing the inventory and material management and things like that. So yeah, so we'll talk a little bit about that as we kind of go along here, Tiger.
Okay, awesome. So, and you and I both share the love of going into the offices and tearing the inventory rooms apart and then organizing them. How many times you've had somebody at the end of the project come up to you and say, Brittany, can you come to my house and organize my closet?
They say that all the time, yes.
Yeah.
They're constantly saying that, yes.
Exactly. So if anybody is tuning in that I've been to your office and we organized it, just type your comments. And if we haven't been to your office, let us know.
Right.
We might make it happen.
That's right. Once this is all finished, we can come, yes.
Yeah, the Marie Kondo style. Yeah, we can do that.
That's right.
All right, so I'm switching to content. I probably wouldn't be able to see much, but okay. So we're sharing. Can you guys see it? So if you're just somebody, Vanessa, or Heather, or Monica, or Courtney, or Nancy, let me know if you can see this dental inventory thing. Okay, cool. Then let's get started. So dental inventory and ordering. So why? There are three main reasons it's time for the inventory makeover. So if you ever, the reason we have this discussion, so obviously offices, if you're running out of supplies, if you have expired products, and if your dental supply budget is over 5%, that's, to me, three main indicators why we need to start organizing things. And so a lot of times when we go to the offices, I think, and Brittany helped me with that, is one of the main challenges, it's not so much that we don't have space or we have too many people or we're too busy or there's some other things that come up. It's mainly because, number one, you have products everywhere. So one of the things we're going to talk about inventory is streamlining. I would much rather you have one little closet, but everything's there, right? So like one little space. Second is excessive products, meaning that you just have them like just so much of one particular item. So like this is where we talk about the free goods, when people stock up on things that last 3 years and then in 12 months they go in the garbage because they're expired. Right? And then I think
absolutely.
And the third one is the cabinets. So we'll talk about that too, about how much I love cabinets, quote unquote, love cabinets. Okay, so if you can see, this is one of the offices I went to. Brittany, can you see what I'm showing you or not really?
Yep, it just came into focus. Yep.
Okay, awesome. Can you imagine like this tub here? It's probably Zirc tub, and all this composite inside. That's all expired products. Like that is insane, in my opinion. So that's what we're going to try to do to help offices. Like we're getting these pictures directly from like when we go or our offices are sending. Or look at this typical sterilization room. Like how about this, right? So this is also way too much. Like just so much going on. If I would be the dental assistant, I would walk in, I would be lost. Like I like to be this a little bit more streamlined. And so physical space. So we're going to start with physical space. And when we talk about the physical space, three things. We talk about having a single place for supplies, stock what you need for 2 to 3 weeks. Space has to be open to see and efficient. I don't know what I mean by that, but just space has to be open, meaning there are no doors. Like you have to walk into the space and literally right away see what you have. So these are my 3 things. Brittany, what would you add?
You know what? I'm not seeing your slide. So you were talking about as far as the 3 things, as far as what? Adding in?
Like the physical space. And actually, Brittany, there should be a button on your right side that says switch to content, like a blue button on the right.
Yeah, it did. Now it says switch to AV, but all of a sudden the picture just like disappeared. So we're good now. It did come back. Are you on the one with the tub with the composite?
I'm on the one that says physical space.
Okay. Yep. No, I'm not on that one with you.
Okay. Maybe it's just my Wi-Fi is too slow today.
Yeah, it's good. It's switching now, I think.
Yeah. Well, we're all overloading our Wi-Fi's.
I think so.
So,
I think so.
So back to that physical space, right? If you would go into the office and you are tasked to organize the physical space, what are the things that you do and what do you focus on? What are the like top 3 things?
You know what you have there is great. You talked about cabinets, having, we often go in and take the cabinet doors off. Like you said, we want to make sure that you can see everything. You, again, want to make sure that you're having that single place for just supplies, especially when you're talking about having tubs like we have at Zirc. When you're stocking those tubs, you want to have a place that you're going to restock those tubs. So one single space for supplies, like you talked about, just like that. So, usually most offices, we will put in one cabinet that has all their composite materials. So you just bring that composite tub there, you restock that tub. One cabinet that has the, endo materials, and you restock that endo tub. So, yep, absolutely. I think your top 3 are great, Tiger. I would separate out your procedure-specific materials versus your disposable materials, keeping those 2 things separate. We like to, because they don't occupy the same space in usage, I should say. You're using gauze and cotton rolls and things like that almost every single procedure, and more often during the procedure versus, composite, you may only use that once or twice during the day in that operatory. So, where you're putting things and stuff like that is going to be different, I would say, too.
Okay, that's a great point.
So, yep.
Okay, I hope everybody is ready for some really interesting pictures. So we're going to go into this. This is one of our offices. So probably will take time to load. So we first went in and this was before picture. And then this is after. And then that's another after on the right side. So even offices that don't have space, even offices that say, you have a little bit of space, it's still worth it just to organize and bring it into the one place. This tip-up bins, we have a place where we recommend them, where we recommend you purchase them, called Simplastics, and you get a discount if you get them from by just you say that you came from Zen, and we'll have the code linked up after that. But that's ideally how the main supply room could look like. So when the boxes come in, you just unpack and you put them all in open shelves, and you have them in the tip-up bins. Another part too is this tip-up bin here it's right on the floor, so that's not how we would typically recommend. We would recommend lift it up a little bit from the floor. I would say 6 to 7 inches, so it's not sitting right on the floor. For cleaning purposes and making sure that supplies are all clean. Mm-hmm. And also, I think another part too is if Mary would have been here, she would probably tell us to make sure that if the products came in the bags, still keep them in the bags. So like I used to recommend the mixing tips and stuff like that, open up and dump them in the tip-up bins. I would think, at least for now, for the infection control and OSHA compliance, just if it came in the bag, just try to store them within the bag. Same with 2x2s and cotton rolls and things like that. So let's see what else we got. Physical space, daily stock. So that's the sterilization room. Again, you will see some of the offices are putting tip-up bins right between the bottom of the cabinet and upper side of the cabinet. And so things like little things, I don't know, gauze and anything that you might need to put on the trays might go in there. And I think it's also important, I don't remember if I'm going to cover that a little bit later on the PowerPoint, but I think it's also important to talk about where do you keep your daily stock in the main stock. So for example, our recommendation is to have the main stock in, have the main supply room where all the supplies are coming in, all the boxes are shipped there. You open up and that's your main supply room. And that's where you would typically put the Zen out to manage the inventory. And then from there, things go into the treatment rooms, and then the treatment rooms are stocked for a week. The other concept that we also, we talked about, and right now we looking for your feedback as well. The other concept is nothing in the rooms, nothing in the treatment rooms. You have the main supply room, and the rest of it is in the sterilization. And so you set the trays for each procedure, and everything you need is going to be within the reaching distance in the sterilization, and you put it on the trays. So that's the second one that we've seen. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so, as far as Zirc goes, we like to see everything in the sterilization area. Like you said, the trays are all set up and ready to go in sterilization area. And then you grab what you need and go and bring that into the operatories. Again, you're not having to overload all those operatories. And then it's an infection control thing too. You don't need extra stuff in the operatories or out on the counters or anything, and you want to keep that just nice and clean and clutter free, and the operatories not having all that extra stuff either sitting around or up in the cupboards or anything. Mm-hmm. So, set your trays up in sterilization, and then grab what you need and take it to your operatory, use it, bring it back to sterilization, and then reprocess everything from there. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Yep.
And that's where you set up your tub and tray system, right? What you recommend?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Now, with tub and tray system, what I've seen is you still might want, and I think I have a picture later, you still might want to have a little container for things that you might need, like Septicane, like things that you can restock on a weekly basis, and it can be sitting in the treatment room. What do you think about that?
So it depends on your treatment rooms. If your treatment rooms have some sort of drawers in there, we don't say to have like a separate like disposables tub. We call those things disposables. We say keep them in the treatment room because again, those are things that you're going to need over and over during the procedure. So to have them available to you in the treatment room is best. So those gauze, cotton rolls, Septicane, needles, things like that in the treatment room, we feel is okay. As long as they are in a closed drawer and just available to you, that if you need more after you've used the initial one you've already set out and and stuff, then you can just open the drawer, take one out with a cotton pliers, and then close the drawer back up. Some operatories nowadays are very minimal and don't even have that chance. So they do need to have some sort of anesthetic and disposables tub that they bring in the room. So then, that would be the case.
Awesome. And so I'm reading Vanessa and Monica. So some people love to have their room stocked. what we recommend from our standpoint is to have a checklist. And so if you remember during the trainings, we've gone through this, is to have a checklist. And I think I will mention that checklist a little bit later during the presentation. I highly, 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 highly recommend that each treatment room gets a checklist of all the things that go in the room with a recommended quantity. So literally just septo, 10 carpules. If that's enough for the week, you just keep it there, right? Yes, Vanessa, I'm glad you still have that checklist. That's awesome. So keep that checklist and keep recommended quantities. And I always talk to the offices, those recommended quantities, it's not that you're going to say that's all you get for the week, like 10 carpules of septo, is basically that's what we're gauging our production, how many patients we see, and that's what we need. So that checklist helps you not to overstock the room, therefore keeping less in the main supply room. And also, like, just products may get expired pretty quickly. So that's why having the checklist with quantities, if your doctor is required to have things like composite cements and impressions in the rooms, but I guess then it goes against having the tub and tray system, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we, and those are things too that, you're spending a lot of money. If you're stocking, let's say 4 rooms with composites and cements and impression materials instead of 1 or 2 tubs with those things, you're spending all that money, in inventory and whatnot to stock all those rooms with all those materials, plus have that inventory on back stock that you don't need to do, when you could just be stocking 1 or 2 tubs with materials and then having the back stock to restock those tubs if need be. And again, there is a formula to that. That's not 1 or 2 tubs for a whole office of 16 operatories. We have a formula on how that works with each practice, of course.
Yeah, so add your comments, guys. Obviously, there are different philosophies. I like minimal, so I like the tub and tray system, just because. Yeah, right. I'm about to train. Yeah, Mike. I'm with you. But you know what? The times are interesting. So you might be surprised when we do come back, and it might be easier to convince the team and the doctors to say, look, I mean, like, do you want to spend like now $300 to restock every single room, or we just spend $100 to restock the room? So that might be a valuable conversation to have. Because, if you have the tub and tray, you don't have to stock every single room.
Right. Yeah.
All right. Absolutely. Keep adding questions, keep adding stuff. So we're going to keep reading it. But Monica, I love your comment. So physical space. When we talk about the daily stock, so look at this picture that I got. This is one of our offices. And I really like this one because when I looked at it and I said, I can't operate in this. So we need to remove the doors. We need to remove all the stuff from the upper cabinet, all these boxes. And then if we have the space, all the trays can go in the cabinets. And so I don't know why, but most of the team members, when we go in and I say the doors are out, everybody's freaking out. Like doctors, for some reason, in love with cabinets. I don't know why. And then the team members just terrified of removing the doors. I also don't know why. But once it happens, everybody is in love with how it looks afterwards. So this is how it did look. Like you guys hopefully can see the picture. All the doors were gone. If you open the doors, you can see the gauze. You can see the patient bibs and all the stuff is here. And then let's see if I can, if I have the after picture. Yep, that's how it looked after. So cleaned up the counter space. We even added the towel. And then no doors. And now everything is organized. And my favorite comment about the doors, I don't know, Brittany, if you had that, people say, especially if you have an totally open sterilization, I might buy this comment. But most of the offices I went to, sterilization has a little opening, like 5 feet opening, right? And then it's a room. And so I have some offices say, you know what, Tiger, we don't want patients to see our sterilization. And I'm saying, you know what, if I'm a patient, I'm looking at my phone. I'm not even looking around when I'm trying to get into the treatment room. So I don't know how much that might be valuable. Now, again, if Mary comes back, Mary Giovanni, who was here on the 20th, she had a valid point that after this whole thing, most likely patients would want to know how you sterilize things and how do you keep things organized and clean. So I think from a patient perspective, they would want to make sure that it's clean and organized, just like this picture looks after. but I don't know how much they would care about if you have the doors or you don't have the doors.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a huge deal after this is all said and done. I think more people are going to be paying attention to physical spaces for sure and checking all that out.
Yep. Our stairs also our lab. We have to keep the door on due to acrylic. Yeah. Yeah, Monica. Or you know what? One of the pictures I had, the tip-up bins and the shelf was just literally in the hallway. If you can't have it all in that, I mean, in keeping supplies in the lab, I don't know. I would try to consider moving that.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Yeah. So this is also our offices, and this is how the treatment room would look like after you get a little bit more organized. So people do put tip-up bins right in front of the patients that they can see. Some people go in and they buy the carts, the mobile carts, and they keep everything there. And again, with the checklist, you'll see the checklist at the top. And then after we go in and we do these checklists in the rooms, you will see like even anesthetics, they're all a lot less than you typically would see in the office. Just the needles, a little bit of needles, a little bit of septo, and mepivacaine and lidocaine. And so it's important to have the checklist and try to get these things organized. So what's important to know? When we talk about the physical space, the daily stock, and especially when it comes to the treatment rooms. So what's important to know? How busy the practice is. Practices that are more busy tend to keep supplies in the rooms. Again, I would work and try to find the balance between what Brittany said and what some of you put in the comments as far as stocking every single room. And I would try to define what that means, stocking. Maybe just the disposable things like the masks, the gloves, cotton rolls, a little bit of anesthetics and things like that, but the rest goes in the tubs. So I would really have a conversation, especially now, jump on the call and as an office, discuss these things. This is going to be important when we come back to business or we are busy again. How do we want to do it? Because, there are different ways of organizing it. Stock operatories or sterile once a day or once a week. So my big thing with our offices, and Vanessa can say with a checklist, we just finished the training not that long ago. If you're restocking rooms every minute, you will not be able to survive the busy schedule. Like if you don't have a process in place, it's tough. It's going to be really tough. So having checklists in place allows you to restock the rooms at minimum once a day, or my idea is once a week. When you know your supplies for a week, if they are in the rooms or in the sterile or in the tubs, you just restocking going in the main supply room once a week if you have it all properly organized. And Brittany, how realistic is that in your opinion?
To do it once a day or
once a week?
Well, once a week. No, I think that's great. I think a lot of offices are doing that. They set a time somebody comes in every Monday morning, or it's done every Friday afternoon before somebody leaves, or whatever it may be, Wednesday afternoon. But yeah, I think once a week is a great time, or enough time to be doing that for sure. Once a week is great.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you're doing it more than, 3-4 times a day, that's way too much. Way too much.
That means
and
there's
you're
no system.
you're losing valuable time that you could be doing plenty of other things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and those of you who are watching, take a screenshot of this thing because I would literally just bring this screenshot at the team meeting and say, yes, Jimmy, I'll email the tip-up bins. So, and I'll get to all the comments. So just take a screenshot and discuss these things, like how busy we are, stock operatories or sterile, understanding restrictions of your practice. So I didn't know these things. Like recently with few of the offices that I work with, dental versus hygiene, and we had to separate them. I was a big believer, let's just combine the two together and let's go. But some offices, you need to keep hygiene separate and clinical separate. So maybe budget is going to be separate too. I don't know. If it's a big practice, that might be a restrictions. Use mobile carts to store specialty supplies. I love mobile carts, just the one that I just showed you. You can set up all the endo stuff in the mobile cart, put a checklist next to it, just know exactly what you have inside with quantities, who signed off on it, who is doing the inventory on that mobile cart, you're good to go. In Zen, you can have that little storage, the virtual storage, call it endo mobile cart, and every supplies that goes in it with quantities. It just, to me, those carts makes a lot of sense. Brittany, what do you think?
Yeah, for certain things, I definitely think the mobile cart is okay. But again, I think if you're doing a tub system, that you shouldn't really need to have that. You should have everything you need in that tub, and ready to go and at chairside, at all times.
Yeah, it just,
So
I know
it
for
depends
the
on the office,
implants,
though. Yeah.
a lot of implant offices will have the mobile cart for implants where they have the bone, the membrane, and all that
Yeah. Yeah,
ready
for
to go
sure.
in the cart.
Yeah, absolutely. There are some procedures that I do agree with you, Tiger, that you are going to need to have some sort of a mobile cart. And, practices that are maybe doing more extensive endo, that need to have more of a mobile cart that, they can't do a tub system, or it would take 2 to 3 tubs to fit all the stuff that they have, then by all means, a mobile cart system is a great idea.
Yeah. So use tip-up bins. Jimmy, I'll email the link, and for everybody, we'll link it up. The company's called simplastics.com. Zen11 is a promo code to get 11% discount on most orders. At least that will get you the free shipping, because shipping can get pretty expensive with these big boxes. And so, Vanessa, yeah, we're dual office, pedo, ortho. And the storage has all disposables together. Brittany, what would you recommend?
Let me see. We are dual office, so our main storage has all disposables together. I think that's fine. I don't see a problem with having all your disposables together. I think that's fine.
Okay.
I mean, keeping them together is fine. Yeah.
I would, from my standpoint, just recommend that point number 3, I think, from my previous slide, is just knowing the restrictions of the office. So Vanessa, hopefully when this whole thing is done, I'll visit you guys, so we'll be able to just walk through and take a look together. I would just say the restrictions. I mean, if you can keep the two together and everything is working fine, and you guys don't have any issues and challenges, and everybody's on the same page, great. Well, if you need to separate and have 2 separate columns in the same room of tip-up bins or stock shelves, and one says big letters pedo, one says ortho, maybe that's the way to go. So I would just look at the restrictions of the office.
Yeah, that's very true, Tiger. That makes sense.
All right. Okay, let me see what else was there. We only keep a certain amount, so we will have 2 filling materials out of 4 op rooms, and keep an extra in a tub in case we run out. So they both work in order to have and minimize the amount of room, and always have backup. Okay. Our orders we talked about, that makes sense. Procedures. If procedure back stock is kept in sterile, is it an OSHA concern to have doors off cabinets, and if items are in containers, no lid? Oof, we will need Mary for that.
Yeah. I mean, there's not really a whole lot that you're using in sterilization that's giving off like a lot of aerosols and things that you would be more concerned of if you were in an operatory. But I definitely would consult Mary on that one. I don't know exactly what you're considering a container with no lid, because if you're talking about like tubs, those always have lids on them and whatnot. So I guess you just have to make sure that if you are storing things in there, that everything is in a container that has lids, or like you said, in bags that they came in, or whatever it may be. So, but yeah, I would definitely consult Mary on that one.
Yeah. And so Heather, we will bring Mary back in the next couple of weeks. So just make sure when you see it, I'm sure you'll see in upcoming events in Zen, it will say Mary Giuliani. We'll talk about infection control, how to get ready. Let's make sure to run that question by her. I'm sure she'll say something along the same lines that you need to have a lid on the containers. And even if you want to send us the picture of how that might look like, that would be even better. So Vanessa, so have a checklist with crying kids, so we don't leave our little ones in the chair. Totally. Yeah, we do have a quick wrap. Yeah. The other part about the checklist I haven't brought up yet, that's really, really important, especially if doctors are here too. Please say yes or no on the chat, because one of the things that I've personally, because I'm nosy, when I go into the office, I want to know everything. I would probably sit in the room somewhere in a corner just watching what you guys are doing. And then one thing I've noticed in all offices is like when the doctor says I need something and it's not in a room, it's like the world is about to collapse.
No.
Right? So like, what do you mean we don't have that in the room? So, and I'm saying this out of love. So that checklist should help. If that happens, just jot it down at the end of the procedure, put in a checklist, make sure we have this doctor who absolutely needs this thing in the room. So then put it in a room. So next time you're restocking the room, you have it in the checklist. So that's a reminder for you to make sure that that item is always there. Right?
Been in that situation a few times.
I still, yeah. All right, cool. We have this little short video. I don't know if it's going to play. That's one office we did a year ago. Hopefully it's going to work out. If not, I think it was even included in the video. It's not going to show properly. Yeah. Okay, so I'm not going to, because Wi-Fi is super slow. I can see it. It's not really working. So we talked about the inventory checklist for each room. So that's how it's going to look like. You have a whole bunch of products that says item, stock quantity, a recommended stock quantity, and then weekly check. So you just go in and you write down and you say yes, no, how many you have, how many left. And then grabbing that checklist is you're going to go and restock it. Inventory control in Zen, we all know about the restock inventory, so I'm going to skip this part. But one of my main things, again, about the having the checklist and having the process too, is organize or put in a calendar the day and the time when you're going to be restocking the room. So that's one of the things we always talk with offices is, I don't know, pick Monday, 7 a.m., you know, and especially, again, if doctors are listening to this, I always recommend, like, inventory is such an important thing that if I would be the doctor, I would literally, on the way to 7 o'clock inventory meeting, stop at Starbucks, get everybody what their favorite frappe lappuccinos are, come to the office, and make sure that the team members are excited to do this part, and then just restock the rooms, and then you're all set for the week. And that means you're going to be flying through with, like, perfectly. And then next week, the same thing, next week, the same thing, until we get that into the habit that we're restocking the rooms, and then we can go into the morning huddle. Brittany, what do you think?
Yeah, that's a great idea. That's exactly what we were talking about earlier on Tiger, just having that one day, one time kind of set aside, you know, and making it a routine, like you said, is a great idea.
Yeah. Anything that we missed so far as like the organization. So I'm going to just stop sharing for a second, come back to you, Brittany, and see from your standpoint, when you go into the offices, like, what else have you seen? What else do you think offices can learn or do differently?
That's a great question. I think just, you know, like you said, making sure that they have what they need at chairside with them. You know, we talked about that, you know, so making sure no matter if you're using a tub system or you're using the checklist to have it in the operatories, that, you know, you're making sure that it's always there. So whether or not you are assigning somebody every week or, you know, every day to make sure that things are done, then you need to do that. So if you have a lead assistant or you are the lead assistant, then you need to make sure that somebody is doing that, you know, take control, make sure that so-and-so is, you know, if you have so many operatories, that one person does this many operatories, one person does this many operatories, or, you know, if somebody does it, you know, this month, that month, whatever it may be. But because I know that is the doctor's pet peeve, is having you get up from chairside. I've been there and I've heard it over and over. That is when you have to get up from chairside to get something, that is their biggest pet peeve. So just you know, make make yourself aware of what you're going to need for that procedure, and make note that it's either there in your tub or there in your operatory for the doctor on that procedure. Other than that, just kind of keep yourself cognizant of what you have, when you're doing your inventory. I know it kind of becomes a pain in the neck when somebody writes something down, or, puts, whether or not you're using a tag system or the Zen system or whatever, people put stuff on, but to go back and check, because people, we were just in an office, and they had literally I could swear a year's supply of microchip applicators in their cupboard, and they just ordered like 10 more packs. And it's just because people keep adding it to the list and adding it to the list, and nobody checks. They just order and order and order, without checking. Do we really need this? Do we really need this? So if you're the person who's doing the ordering, just kind of make sure, and, and take note. Oh, hey, we just ordered that. Really? Is somebody eating these, or is, do we really need these this time? Kind of, so that you don't have that overstock of items and inventory somewhere that you're spending all this extra money on. Right.
Yeah. And I think just to your point too, when it comes to ordering, I'm going to touch on this in a second. When it comes to ordering, it's also important to have, I don't know if it's possible. I'll just throw it in and let me know, everybody who's watching right now, just what are your thoughts on this? When we do trainings, and Irene and I actually talk about this a lot on with our trainer, I love when ordering is done by two people. So ideally, a doctor and a lead DA, lead dental assistant. So here's my reasoning behind it. The lead assistant's position is always to make sure that you don't run out. Like, I absolutely respect that position. You need to make sure that nothing happens and you always have supplies. From a doctor's standpoint, you can take that leadership position and say, we don't need that much. Let's just take a little bit less. Or instead of buying from here, let's buy from there. And I think some of these decisions, it's good if they're made together with a doctor, because when you run the practice, then nobody's looking at each other and saying, wait a minute, why did we buy these masks? Like, what do you mean? We wanted to save money and we bought these masks that are peel instead of blue. I don't know if it's the same color or not. I'm just making this up. But and then people, disappointed that it's a different product or different this or different that. But if it's done together, then again, we have less of this, questions and concerns and things like that. So I don't know. That's me rumbling, but that's an idea we will always recommend to our offices. You guys can give me the comment in the chat if that's good or not. And I understand the time constraints.
Yeah, and I think you make a good point, Tiger, but I don't, in a lot of the practices that I've been in, I just don't think that you'll find a lot of doctors that are willing to do that, unfortunately.
Yeah.
One, because they don't want to have to bother with that stuff. And two, they aren't going to take the time to bother with that stuff, Unfortunately. It would be nice, trust me, as a dental assistant who did ordering for an office for 10 years that I worked at, it would have been much nicer to have that support and extra person behind me many times, but they just don't want to do that.
Especially when you're a brand new starting in the dental field as an assistant and you're tasked to start placing orders. That to me is interesting, when doctors just don't want to be involved. So it's not like going on Amazon and just buying a toilet paper.
No, right. Which you can't buy anyway right now.
Yeah. All right. So let's go through questions because there's a lot more that I do want to cover, but we only had 1 hour scheduled for today. So I want to make sure we're respectful to your time, and Brittany, we're respectful to your time. We're going to do one more next week. So I really want to encourage this conversation, and for all of you, start submitting the floor plans and pictures. I want this to be more interactive, and maybe even all together look at it, and I'll be able to share the screen with pictures, and we can mark it and say, do this, or we would recommend to do that. So Vanessa, usually the assistants add or will let me know when some items, but then I go through and I double check everything. Yep. 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 Yeah, Heather, I feel you.
Exactly, Heather. That's what they say,
Yeah.
amongst a million other things. Yeah, and Stephen can contact me for information on that tub and tray system. I can definitely have a chat with them on that.
Yep.
So we can give them my information at the end here.
Yeah, and we'll link it up. Irina will link up your contact information in the notes. So
Perfect.
we'll do that. So since we still have a little bit of time, somebody in the comments just keep putting questions. Where can I get more? How can I contact you? I'm new to Zen. Steven, just the usual. The chat at the bottom in the right corner in Zen. Any questions can go there. Either Anastasia or somebody on the team will put you in the right direction. You can always email team@zensupplies.com, TEAM. And then if you need Brittany, you can put Zirc, connect me to Zirc. And then I'll make sure, or Irina will make sure to connect you to Brittany from the Zirc team. Monica, what is the best way to send photo layouts of our storage? There's this chat thing. The attached thing to this chat. You can do it right there. Or just, again, email team@zensupplies.com. So everybody who's watching, let's do one of these next week. So we'll coordinate, or maybe we have a lineup for next week, but maybe the week after. Just keep sending stuff. I'll collect them into the folder. I'll share with everybody before the call. And then literally we'll be able to go through some of the floor plans and pictures and start putting comments and suggestions. So do you have any stories, Brittany, from offices that you went to?
Actually, I was just in an office last week. We did a full office reset, we call it, and they won our most expired material so far. So they had expired materials from 1992. So
1992.
Yes. So that is, they are so far the ones with the most expired material, or the furthest back expired material. So they're the winner chicken dinner for them right now. Yes. So
our record so far, we went to the tiny little office in Baltimore. 3 rooms. They added the fourth one. We threw 26 construction bags, like the big black ones. 26 bags of, not expired, just old stuff, old materials, old equipment, all 26 construction bags.
Oh my gosh.
And I didn't take a picture. Can you believe it?
I know. I do that every time, we leave and I go, oh, I didn't have a picture of this, or this. And even at this same office, they had, spent the 2 weeks, because we've been shut down obviously for a little while. They had spent the 2 weeks prior going through and cleaning out operatories and really deep cleaning the place and throwing stuff away and everything, that they had, filled a dumpster and already cleaned stuff out. Well, so they thought. And that day we were there, we filled the dumpster again full of stuff they didn't need and these expired materials. And the doctor was just so surprised, once we went through again, that we refilled the dumpster a second time and found these materials that they had obviously missed the first time around, but I think they kind of just whiz past things sometimes, and we really, get down to the nitty gritty and dig deep. So
yeah. In the beginning, I just didn't want to be that person who's like running next to the garbage pile and taking pictures,
right.
I think, like, why taking pictures of 26 construction bags of garbage? All right, Vanessa. Or the error also in when order new supplies that come out, like filling materials before even using up all your current stuff. So for us, I don't order anything new until it's been used up. Vanessa, we need to get you in, because I would love to get your feedback on this too. I do think this whole ordering too is that's where lead assistants are shining as lead assistants. Like, there's a reason why if the ordering and inventory is done properly, that's why you are the lead assistant. So like when I hear Vanessa talk how you do things, like that's amazing because you're taking the leadership role on this and you say, no, we're not going to use new composite until we use the old ones. Yep. And unfortunately, none of our Zen offices, but I go to some offices that people are struggling with that they don't know how to manage the rest of the team members and the rest of the dental assistants to say, like we have an office at Westgate Dental Care. The lead assistant there, doctors come up to her and they say, I need this. She's like, yep, right, writing it down. Right in front of me, it happened. Remember Tracy?
Yes.
Yeah, she would write it down and then, maybe I shouldn't say the name. She would write it down and then the doctor walks out and she's just like, go talk to the doctor who owns the practice. Like they're that strict. Like they just don't buy new stuff. And you have to use, and again, if the doctors decide and if they agree that this is the way to go, but she doesn't take orders from anybody that's saying, come in and let's use this or let's use that. And I think that's also leadership. And that's what a lot of lead assistants need to get to that level of being comfortable leading the practice from that standpoint.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I know we had an office like that too, we were at, and they had, 4 different dentists in the practice, and they all wanted different, cements and different composites. And how do you, try to figure all that out? And, finally, one of the lead doctors or the main doctors just said, I had to put a kibosh on that. We had to sit down and just come to a consensus because you're just over ordering products at that point and your inventory is just out of control and your money that you're spending is ridiculous, and there should be no need for that. Maybe you limit it to half. Okay, 2, we have to agree on 2, and the same with burrs. He said they had, their crown preps, they had setups with like 22 burrs in it because nobody could agree on the same burrs and things like that. So they really had to just, slim things down, and they had to go for a month and say, okay, we're using these different products, decide which ones you want. And then, they came to a consensus on which ones they were using because you can't, it just gets to be too crazy when you're, you have so many people and they all have their own stuff they want to use,
Yeah. Yeah, and I think I want to make sure I'm clear on my message is I think it would be difficult for dental assistant, lead assistant to go to all the doctors and say, we're not going to use 22 burrs for the crown prep. I think it's a conversation that a lead assistant should have with the main doctor that owns the practice and say, maybe we can cut it off to like 2, 3, 4, right? So like just have that conversation with the main doctor and then let the main doctor make a decision. But that's a big point that I failed to touch in the beginning is, exactly. Like what's the variety we have of individual product and do we need to have it or not?
Yeah. Yeah. That's definitely something that's brought up like in a staff meeting or in a one-on-one with your main doctor. I'm trying to keep costs down for you. I see that we're using 22 burrs during a crown prep. We really, my feeling is we really need to bring this down, and then you have that conversation for sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So Vanessa, probably what's going to happen is you, Irina, and I will get on a separate thing and talk about becoming the lead assistant. Like, how do you build that character? This is interesting. Vanessa's on fire. Yeah, Steven, do you treat an endo office like an inventory and a production line? Specifically, would just-in-time model work? Brittany, what do you think?
So an inventory in an endo office, so what exactly are you thinking? I mean, inventory in an endo office would be similar to inventory anywhere else, I would think. Although as far as a just-in-time model,
yeah,
not
probably
sure about that.
Steven is referring more to, what is it, like having 2 to 3 weeks of supplies?
I mean, you would probably need that because you're going to go through them because you're specifically only doing that procedure. So, you need to make sure that you have what you need, all the time, you're not switching it up ever if you're just doing endo. So you're going to need to make sure that you always have what you need and that you have the back stock all the time so that you have what you need all the time.
Yeah.
Right.
And I would recommend, Stephen, too, is being flexible in the model that you're putting for your office. I wouldn't be like every single product we're going like production line and everything is going to be on a 2-week thing. So I would look at it and say files. If they're important and there's certain files that you need to have and they ship 3 days, maybe you have them for 4 weeks, not 2 weeks. Certain products like we can go through like infection control. When you see what happened recently, maybe you stuck up a little bit and have a little bit more. Some things that we know just nothing is going to happen, you just keep them less. Like I would keep the model flexible so you don't get yourself into the corner where you you draw the line in the sand and you say, this is it, we're going to go just in time model, and it just may not work. So always look, and that's where it comes with having a really strong lead assistant, or if you are a lead assistant, this is what you do. You communicate with your reps. This is where it's important to have the good relationship with the reps. So you communicate through Zen and say, hey, Zen team, what's going on in the world? Like, what do we see with masks? We were helping a lot of offices just trying to understand who has the mask, who will accept the new clients. If Shine is on 5 per week, how do you do it? And so I think that's an important conversation, and that's where our lead assistant can shine to really look at the model, I would say, week to week. And when we get back to normal, you can reevaluate again and see how the supply world is working, and then establish a new model. Just be flexible.
Right.
Awesome. Anything else you would add, Brittany?
No, I don't think so. Sounds good.
Yep.
To me.
All right. Thanks, everybody. I'll wait for the Heather Les comment, and then we're going to be – so, yeah, we kept it kind of short today. I apologize if you guys expected more, but give us comments, give us feedback on what would you like to do on the next one. I want to go through more pictures. I'm actually going to be putting and looking at some of the pictures I found from offices. So I'll make sure to have that ready for the next inventory workshop. We're going to call it inventory workshop, and we'll go through it, and we'll try to get more insightful information on that. And also, we'll probably make it a little bit longer. So I feel like 1 hour wasn't enough. We need to do it maybe 90 minutes. And so please send the picture. Yes, Heather, we'll have more pictures, but send your information, send your pictures, send your floor plans. And then we'll pull some people into the video call and then just have that conversation. Brittany, thank you so much.
Yes, of course. And anybody who needs to get a hold of me, Tiger has all my information, phone number, email, all of that. So please reach out to me if you want help with any inventory control, the information on the tub tray system, or anything else Zirc has to offer. It's been a pleasure, Tiger. Thank you so much for having me.
It is a perfect timing to learn, right? Like, just reach out to Brittany, like learn what the tub and tray system, how it works. You have so many different products, not just tub and tray too, right? Like there are other things. Like
for sure. And you know what? This is a great time. Yeah, this is a great time to just learn, spend the time in general, just because you do have the time right now when your practice is shut down, to kind of reassess those organizational systems that you were currently using, and maybe, investigate some newer ones that might work better for you, So, get a hold of me and I can talk to you about how we can get out some of the products, and we can talk about maybe organization a little bit further with the tub and tray system or cassettes. And we can also talk about, a little bit more about our evacuation and isolation products with our Mr. Thirsty, with the new regulations that are probably going to be coming out with the aerosols and things like that in place, our Instadams and stuff. So, we can definitely talk that kind of stuff too. So
awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. So we would love to have you back to talk about this thing.
I would love that.
Just literally go through the products. Cool. Thank you all. Thank you, Brittany. Stay safe, everybody. Yes. And by the way, we will be sending out the email. If anybody got affected by this thing, please let us know. We'll be reaching out, trying to see if we can help with any way. So stay safe, and till tomorrow. We have a follow-along yoga session at 11 o'clock Central Time. How about that?
Ooh, that sounds exciting. Might have to tune in, Tiger.
Yeah, I'll send you the link.
Awesome.
Thank you all. Till tomorrow.
Thanks,
Thank
Tiger.
you, Brittany, so much.